Wow, you look like a vampire. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. You can call me whatever the hell you want to call me. Lots of haters done that already, and I'm still here doing what the hell I can do to help you. So, today's video I'm going to be talking to you about the importance of understanding individuality and also the subject of groupthink. Now, first of all, for those who do not know me, my name is Clyde and I have a main channel that makes GMV videos, game music videos. That is my main channel. It's called JackersEdit. But anyways, let's jump straight to the point. Actually, no, first of all, I need to give you a disclaimer. There's 3 disclaimers I want to give you. 1, I'm just an entertainer. Do not take what I say seriously, because after all, I'm just entertaining you on this video. After all, it's just a YouTube video. I'm not professional or anything. Number 2, well, wherever you live, follow the rules of the land that you are living in. Okay? And 3, be an adult watching me. Even if you're like a teenager, I know some of you're like age 16 to 17, just have the adult mindset whenever you are watching these vlogs, because I'm here to educate you, but in the same time, do not take me seriously. Am I someone to take seriously? I mean, look at me. I look like a fucking clown sometimes. And my laugh as well, that's so fake. But first of all, let me define to you, actually, I want to give a shout out to my mentor well, not mentor, I haven't met him personally, but he has, we have messaged each other every now and then. But I want to give a shout out to Matt Cross, because he is the guy who taught me about groupthink. And that is what I'm going to talk to you about first. What is groupthink? Well, by definition, groupthink means that you are following what everybody else is choosing. For example, if you find yourself in a group situation, such as you're at work or you're supposed to do some sort of teamwork in school, maybe a group presentation, you decide not based for what's best for the company, what's best for the team, but instead you are deciding because everybody else is choosing. So they're kind of almost like they're choosing for you, but rather than that, you simply agree with them because, you know, the greatest number for the greatest happiness, right? If a lot of people are choosing one thing over the other, then that must be the best decision, right? Well, that's not always the case, okay? I'm gonna tell you why groupthink is never a good thing, all right? It's never a good thing when you follow what everybody else is choosing. And I'm sure you can already know why it is a bad thing. But the question is, why do people still get into that mindset of groupthink, where you choose not because for what's best for the company, but because everybody else is choosing it, you might as well choose the same thing? Why do people do that? Well, there's some reasons why they do this. First of all, they do not want to appear like the odd one out. All right? They simply do this to please everybody else in a group. And the moment you disagree with the group, when you're not doing it to please the group, but instead you're choosing the decision because it's best for the team, it's best for the company, what's gonna happen is they're gonna attack you. Not physically, well, maybe physically if you're like in a really bad relationship with them, like some sort of gang or something. I don't know anything about gangs, but not that I'm in a gang or anything. Ooh, no speculations. You will be attacked, not physically, but emotionally, mentally. They will say stuff to you like, oh, how dare you go against the group? You must be this kind of person, you know? They kind of shame you for disagreeing with the majority, and they kind of categorize you for being the bad one in the group. Alright? You getting me? You become this black sheep, the one who's the odd one out, basically. They categorize you, you become this ugly duckling, the one who isn't good enough for the group. But the thing is, deep down in your mind, through reason, you know that the decision that they're making, the majority are making, is incorrect. It's not right. And so the only way to really get this job done, to get the best results for the group, the company, for your team, is to break away from that herd-like mentality and choose the right path, you know, whatever it is that you think is the right path. Now, I'm not going to go in too much detail about how do you know it's the right path. But to make things short, you know that it's the right path if you're making the decision based on facts and statistics, and you're not making decisions based on your emotions, because, you know, emotions change every now and then. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that. I am not going to get into that. If you want, I've also made a vlog video talking about feelings. Alright, and just, you can visit that video vlog after this if you haven't seen it already. Very, very powerful, just like this video that you're going to really get inspired from. So, now that you know you know what groupthink is. Groupthink is when you decide not best for the group, not best for the company, for your team, but instead you're deciding because everybody else in the group is choosing the same thing, and you just do not want to be the odd one out. You do not want to be the black sheep, because the moment you disagree with them, the moment you break away from the herd-like mentality, you're gonna get shamed and attacked for simply having your own choice, basically. So let me quickly tell you the story of the lone wolf, because there is a direct correlation to the groupthink, the subject of this video vlog, groupthink and individuality. So there was a time where a shepherd was looking after a herd of sheep, and among the herd was a wolf, a lone wolf. This lone wolf attempted to live like a sheep. I see this clearly because there is a real big moral story in this. There's a moral in this story. This wolf tried to live like a sheep. It would eat grass like a sheep would, but it would always revolt. It would bar like a sheep would, but the wolf will end up howling instead. And throughout time, this wolf kept getting bullied by these sheep for simply being different from the sheep, for simply being a wolf. It would end up getting treated poorly by the rest of the group because this wolf isn't like them at all. Well, it tried to be like them by, behaving like a sheep would, but it's simply because this wolf was a wolf, not a sheep. And so this wolf realized how miserable its existence was. Okay, it wasn't very happy, the fact that he's trying to become something that it's not. Okay, it's trying to be something that it's not. And so one day this wolf decided to break away from the herd-like mentality, break away from the sheep, from the herd of sheep. And that right there, I see that as individuality. Okay, I see that wolf as an individual. Now that it had the ability to think for itself, it broke away from the group and it became an individual. That is how I define individuality, by the way. What's individuality? To be able to think for yourself, what's best for yourself. And you become an individual when you are not part of a group. That's what makes you unique, right? That's what makes you an individual. When you're not part of a group. That's what makes you an individual. And so, coming back to the wolf story, it moved away from the herd and it went on its own way, a lone wolf seeking out what is right for itself, surviving by itself. But there was a problem. This wolf couldn't survive on its own. This wolf was struggling to survive on its own. And so when he saw another group of wolves, okay, this not cult, this pack of wolves this tribe of wolves, it tried to join this tribe. This lone wolf tried to join this pack of other wolves to find itself, because it didn't want to be part of a sheep anymore, right? It tried to be what it was blessed to be, a wolf. And so by this lone wolf joining this group of wolves, there was a problem. There was another problem, okay? First of all, it couldn't survive on its own, and there was a second problem. This group of wolves wouldn't accept this lone wolf into their tribe. And there's a reason for that, okay? There's a reason why this group of wolves didn't accept this lone wolf into their group. And that is simply because it didn't see it as their kind. Even though they were genetically the same, they were all wolves, they did not accept this lone wolf into their tribe. And so I made a post not too long ago, like 3 weeks ago, on my YouTube channel, my main YouTube channel. I said to my audience, my fans, that I do not define, how do I define my people? I do not define my people as my genetic race. You and I could be living far away from each other, from the other side of the world, and yet you can still be part of my people, part of my team, my group, my clan. But the thing is, what most people fail to see is that by defining your genetic race as your people, that is when they will betray you. See this clearly, because I'm going to explain why. The reason why they'll betray you is because they do not share the same ideologies as you do. And so how do I define my people, my team, my group? I define my people as those who share the same goals as I do, the same passions as I do, the same drive to success as I do. I don't define my people as my genetic race. And so, coming back to the wolf story, they did not accept this lone wolf into their group because this lone wolf had different ideologies as they did, the group of wolves did. Unfortunately, because this lone wolf didn't know how to survive on its own, thanks to its upbringing, to the group-like mentality of the sheep, and because this wolf wasn't getting accepted to this group of wolves, it ended up dying. It died. And so when I go out, people ask me every now and then, what is that around your neck? Can you see it? What is that around your neck? Is it a dragon? Some even said that, like literally said that. Is it a dragon? It can be whatever you want, baby. It could be a dragon, it could be a giraffe, it could be a rhino. But damn, this is a wolf necklace. And so this wolf represents the story of the lone wolf that suffered the mentality of the groupthink, being raised as a sheep. It is also the representation of the odd one out, the one who is thrown out from the group of wolves. I carry this necklace around in representation of being an individual, having the ability to think for yourself and moving away from the group-like mentality. Anyways, that's just a really made-up story. If you find it intriguing, I applaud you. Thank you for listening. But I'm not finished yet. Now, here's something that you also have to know. A guy like me who runs a business on YouTube, okay, who has a team, I also have to think what's best for me and my people, okay, my friends, my family. I also have to think what's best for them too, because they are part of my people. And so the mistakes that some of you make is that you always think it's all about you. Okay, well, yes, in this case, if you're looking to develop on yourself, improve on yourself, you have to think about what's best for you. Sometimes this is a quote that goes around like, sometimes you have to be extremely greedy to be extremely generous. And yes, I agree to that. You have to study and become strong in order to save people. Dan Locke's quote, how could you save a drowning person when you yourself are drowning. In my case, though, if you have, if you're looking to help people, you also have to think of what's best for you and them, for your people, for your clan, for your team. Because the moment you disregard your team, you disregard your people, yeah, they won't see the same values as you do. Okay, just to give you an example of how you can define someone as your people, your clan, is that if you're looking to improve on the way you speak, your speaking skills, and then you see another individual who is trying to improve the way they interact with others so that they could, make new friends, network with each other, and, become better in communication. If you see someone who does the same thing as you do, they are part of your people. They can be your people, they could be part of your team, they could be part of your clan, because you and them share the same ideologies, the same drive to success, the same goals. That's one form of, that's one example of how you could see if they are your people or not. But anyways, before jumping to the conclusion, I'm going to give you a real-life example, a real-life situation where the groupthink was clearly in this story, okay, and also individuality. Okay, let me tell you the story of what happened in 2017, like 2 years ago. Quite a long time, but it didn't feel that long to me. So 2 years ago, you know the movie Beauty and the Beast, right? The live action movie. It was out on cinema. Well, me and my friends decided to go out and watch it. Any opinions about that movie? It was pretty. I liked it. The only thing that I didn't like was the chemistry between Bella and the Beast. I found the Beast to be very, very beta male, and I didn't like the Beast, but I really liked Gaston, the villain. I thought he was really alpha male. And controversies, a beta male, alpha male. But let's not get into that. So after watching the movie, right, it was time to go home. And so we walked home in the night. So you know how it's like. You have to be really cautious of what happens to you at night time, because danger lurks in the dark. But as we were walking home, there was 4 of us, I think, roughly 4 of us. It wasn't too much of us. As we were walking home, we saw a big group of guys, all right, on the other side of the street. You know how this got my friends feeling, okay? I was with one guy and 2 girls. We were there together, walking home. And these guys, they were making loud noises. They were intimidating any people walking by. The thing is, there wasn't anybody else around. It was just me, my team, and the big group of guys. And the only way to get to our destination was to actually walk past them. Oh, listen to what's about to happen next. And so, as we got closer, you know what this group of boys decided to do? They decided to set themselves up into 2 rows, one on the left and one on the right. And as we walked through them, they were cheering us on. You know how it's like when you walk into a stadium, a sports stadium, the fans on either sides, they're cheering you. It was basically like that. They were making loud noises and cheering us on. Yeah, it was pretty funny to them. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny too. Some of the girls thought it was funny. They loved that because you know how it's like when you get cheered on. Oh, good job. Like that. You feel good. Oh, very motivational. The thing is, the problem was, as we walked past them, they did it again. They ran at us, okay? Ran almost like they were running after us, but they ran ahead of us, and they set themselves up into 2 lines once again, cheering us on. And so, as we were about to get to the end of the last boys, all right, my 2 friends, they were already in front of us, waiting, and I looked behind me, and I saw that the girl that I was with, she was literally almost surrounded around the boys. She stood there, and what the boys said next really had me thinking, this is a red flag, basically. This is something bad's gonna happen. What the boys said next was something along the lines of, "Oh, come with us, we'll get you free KFC," because we were next to the KFC, you know, the fast food restaurant, KFC. Yeah, they were trying to convince the girl to go with them. And I knew straight away that they're trying to take the girl I was with away from our friends, our group. And so, the thing is about these boys is they would never behave like this if they were alone. They were kind of influenced by each other. This is known as groupthink, to follow what the group wants to do. You know, the greatest number for the greatest happiness. So the girl was just so undecisive what to do. She just stood there. Even though I told her, "Come on, let's go," she didn't really move. And so what I did next clearly showed my dominance over the group of boys. I mean, they were all taller, but definitely younger. They were like 16 to 17. I took her by the wrist and I said, "Let's go." I said her name as well. You know, when you say people's name, it becomes more personal. A little communication tip: if you want to be more personal with the person you're talking to, say their name. And that's what I did. I said her name and I said, "Let's go." And I addressed the boys saying, "Have a good evening, boys." I really emphasized that word boys because that's what they were. They weren't men, they were loud, obnoxious boys. And the thing is, if they ever had to, if you ever run into a situation like that where a group of boys or someone is trying to take your girl away from you, well, at that night she was like my girl. At that night, if they're trying to take whoever you're with away from you, you have to address them through reason first. But if they forcefully, literally get in front of you, almost like they push you, you know that they're looking for some trouble. But luckily, that wasn't the case in this story. I took her wrist out of the group, out of the bullshit, out of the group-like mentality, and I said, "Good, have a good evening, boys." In the end, she loved the fact that I did that for her, because what would happen if I wasn't there for her? Think about it. If it was just these girls all by themselves, alright, and it wasn't for a guy like me to take her away from these groupthink, these boys, immature boys, something worse could have happened. But luckily it didn't. If someone was to touch them or literally physically do something to intimidate me or the girls I was with, first of all, you must make sure that the violence is the last resort you ever want to get to. Well, you never want to get to the last resort, which is violence. You don't want that. You want to use reason, because if you think about it, you do not want her to get hurt. If she's with you, you know that she is the priority, because it's your responsibility as the man to protect those who you are with, especially if you are the leader. You don't want to make the worst decision for your team because of your low ego, well, your sensitive ego, to show off or anything. No, you have to think for the team. You have to think for your friends, the group you're with, for their safety. You know, almost like a teacher taking responsibility of their students. The students are the priority, their safety, health and safety. But if that ever comes to the point where you have to use violence as your last resort, then you make sure you speak to them in a warrior-like mentality. And by that, I mean you speak to them by inciting fear upon their mindset. You can incite fear by saying something along the lines of, "You come any more closer to me or my woman, I will break every single bones of your fragile body. I have a fist, I can knock your teeth out. I have feet that can kick your face in and put you onto the ground with my boot on your face, and I'm on top." I have fingers to bulge your eyes out, and I have teeth to rip your flesh off your body. You are inciting fear on their heads, and to address this to the group, you have to also figure out who the leader is. You speak to them, you speak to the group, no one's going to respond. But if you speak to the leader, if you can incite fear to the leader, the one who's the boss of all of the followers of the group, yeah, it's that person you want to beat the hell out of. Okay, it's that person you want to incite fear upon, because if the leader fears you, then the rest will follow the leader, meaning the rest will fear you too. But again, violence, I don't promote violence. Follow the rules of the land that you are living in. As a second disclaimer, you should never resort to violence. In that story, 2017, it never went into that case. Thank goodness, right? But yeah, that's basically it. I could give you another example, something a little bit more recent that happened last week. I'll quickly tell you about that story. Basically, last week, Saturday, it was my friend's birthday. We celebrated his birthday. Shout out to you, you know who you are. I always like to give a shout out to, my friends and my mentors. But basically what happened was we went to the city as a group. There were 7 of us, and we celebrated in the city. We ate at a restaurant, and after having fun, having a good evening, we decided to get back home to the train station, right? And as we were waiting for our train in the train station, there was this one guy, right, who decided to approach us and interact with us. Why? Because he was, of course, by himself, lonely. He wanted to interact. Anyone would. You don't want to be lonely, right? So yeah, he was cool with us at first, but there was a moment where one of the girls that we were with, she was cold. She was shivering. She didn't have a jacket on. And we were talking about that. And the next thing you know, the guy over here on my left, he was standing next to me. You know what he did? He did something very, very old school, very, very beta male-like. And I'll tell you why it's very beta male. He decided to take off his blazer. He was wearing a blazer, and said to the girl, "Here, wear this." He was offering his blazer to a girl that he doesn't even know. And by default, the girl we were with, she said no, she rejected him. And he just kept insisting. That was the problem I had with him. And the thing that I really didn't like about this guy was he kind of insulted us, the boys in the group. He said something along the lines of, "You boys and your generation aren't being gentleman-like. When you see an attractive woman, you offer her your jacket when she's cold. And what, his generation is better than ours? Bull fucking shit." And the thing that I didn't like about him next was what he said to my friend. Okay, he said this to my friend. "Oh, have you ever had sex before?" Where the hell did that come from? Right? We were talking about, being a gentleman. Next thing you know, he's mentioned something about my friend's sexual life. Good thing to my friend who said in reply to the stranger, he said, "It's none of your business." Yeah. I applaud you, because if he didn't say that, I would have said to this guy, "Hey, how about you worry about your own sexual life rather than jumping into ours?" If anyone ever says that to you, you tell them, "How about you worry about your own relationship rather than jumping into our relationship?" Okay, and the third biggest thing that I absolutely didn't like about this guy, that really, that just confirmed that he's not a good communicator, was he physically, almost like he barged us, but he physically went at the middle of the group and put on his blazer on the girl's shoulder, okay? And oh my goodness me, she quickly took it off him. He took it off her shoulders. I took the blazer and I said, "Hey," I said to this guy some of the words. I said to him, "Hey, if a girl wants the jacket, she'd say so. Otherwise, leave her alone." You have to realize that, he was just trying to be nice, right? No, You have to realize that guys like him with that level of communication is someone you have to be cautious about. Because I could tell you now, his communication level sucks. If I was to rate his communication level from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, his communication was a 3 out of 10 because of the 3 things that I've already pointed out about him, the things that I hated about him. 1, he insulted us about our generation not being too gentlemanlike and what his generation is. It's better than ours. Second, he questioned one of my mates' sexual life. Again, a red flag. And thirdly, he didn't know when to stop, and so he physically put his blazer over her shoulder. That is a big red flag, because the thing is, what would happen if we weren't there for her? What would happen if a guy like me wasn't there to tell him to fucking stop? Alright? Something worse could have happened. Alright? And, you know, guys with this level of communication is someone that you should be very, very cautious about. Because, you know, if a guy like him sucks at communication, then he must be very, very sexually frustrated for not having a girl at his presence. After all, he was alone. His breath stunk like alcohol. He was probably drinking his life away in the weekends with his friends, and clearly he didn't have a girl with him at that time. So, and I could tell he was miserable. He sucks at communication from the way he demonstrated it to all of us. You know, all my friends were there. They've witnessed it all, and they know that that guy sucks at communication. But if there was a lesson learned from today, you know, she could be glad that we were there for her. It's you know, it's kind of like a man's responsibility to kind of to protect, you know, those who are with you. In my case, you know, if you're like the leader, it's your responsibility to keep your people safe, you know, because what would happen if we weren't there for her? And in the same time, I kind of understand what it feels like for a woman to walk around by herself, being very cautious of any guys who attempts to you know, to do something nasty. But you can already tell if you could see red flags in them already if they have very bad communication skills. Like they don't know how to talk to you. And if they don't know how to talk to you, they don't know how to talk to women, they will become sexually frustrated, and thus they will perhaps commit crimes, okay? Because it's that level of communication, a 3 out of 10 in communication, will it lead the person, that individual, to commit horrible actions such as crimes like rape, because they are sexually frustrated for not being able to get women because of their bad communication skills, clearly displayed by this stranger who just didn't know when to stop. If a girl says no, then she says no. So back the fuck up before you get yourself hurt. Anyways, if you learned something of value from this video, I highly recommend you share this with your friends so that they too can learn something from this. And you know, it's going to save you time, it's going to save you energy from having to re-explain what I've taught you to them, because they might make fun of you or you don't know what you're talking about. If you don't, do yourself a favor and just share this video to them, because I know what I'm talking about. Okay, and I'm giving you clear examples of what groupthink is and what individuality is. So to conclude, before I end this video vlog, I'll conclude by saying, what is a groupthink? Groupthink is when you're not making decisions based on what's best for your team, for your people, but instead you're making decision based on what everybody else is choosing. And individuality, by definition, my definition, is to be able to think for yourself, for what's best for yourself, and what's best for your people, for your team. Okay? And that's basically it for this vlog. If you learned something, again, just share this with your friends. Alright, as my favorite teacher of all times, Araj Dibazar, shout out to all of my teachers, and of course Araj, be the best and fuck the rest. My name is Clyde and I represent JackersEdit. Goodbye.